Hi. Now. I'm not sure that you can. Listen, we're having some streaming. So if for any reason we drop out, that will be why. And it's really kind of sticky, and it will make it really difficult to kind of build a flow if we can't stay connected and keep the conversation. So rather than making it really painful for anyone who is trying to watch, we will probably cut out and then come back either with a recording or leave it till next week. So we're just going to set the scene. If suddenly we disappear, that's why. It's not because we don't want to be here or because we haven't got anything to say. We may just be struggling with the connection. But we're here this week. You know that we've been focusing on mythbusting for those of you who have been tuning in regularly. For those who are perhaps tuning in for the first time, you may have seen some of Evie's posts around mythbusting, really looking at the language, the phrases that we use that can really hold us back, that can keep our thinking small, keep our being small, and how we can reframe some of that, but also why we built the Permission to Thrive community so that we could actually help women through that journey, really give them the tools and the resources to really start making those patterns less visible in their lives so that they can be more visible in their presence and their brilliance. That's what it's all about. And today we're looking at really the visibility block. And so, Evie, what I'll do is if I just say what the first one is, and then I'm going to be quiet and allow you to kickstart it. So the first limiting phrase that we're looking at today is, I don't want to be too much. And I'm going to pause and just hand over to you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with us. We are just experimenting at the moment, as you can see, because of technical issues, but we didn't want to just not show up. Imperfectly showing up is good enough for us. So let's see. Yes, I don't want to be too much. That is quite a phrase in the spectrum of the invisibility, and I hear it especially for women that are in the careers that they are expected to run teams or are in high positions, and they have strong feelings about what they are doing, but at the same time they are trying to put a lead on that because they feel that if they show up being too much, something is going to, I don't know, happen. And I can guarantee you the only thing that is going to happen is that they are going to be more visible. They're going to be more known for who they really are, instead of just wearing a mask that they expect is the expected mask for their role. And I'm sure, Yvonne, in your line of work, you have seen that not only for professional women, but other women as well within their family environments, and when they want to just uh, please the people around them, and they don't want to sound or feel overbearing, or even in relationships like friendships and things like that. But I think the caveat here is that when you are not too much, who you are, and how authentic are you within your relationships. So yeah, I will send that back to you, Yvonne. So let's see if we can keep talking like this.
Okay, great. It was cutting out quite a bit for me, Evie. I don't know if it is for anyone who's tuning in. So I picked up on some of what you were saying. But I think, yeah, inevitably it's, when we think that we're too much, I don't want to be too much, it's usually because we've been conditioned to be small, to be, to be safe, to be accepted. And I think that's a really key word here is, if I'm too much, then I won't be accepted. People will, she's got too much to say. She's always got a response. The thing is, if you have got those things inside of you, then they've been placed there for a reason. And if that kind of you're showing up makes others feel threatened, then it may simply be because they too are lost in that sense of I need to be small. And actually, we shouldn't be so vocal. We shouldn't have so much to say. We need to, mind our place almost. So I have to be honest, in my coaching, I've not really had too many women who have come through with this. Like, I don't want to be too much. They what they may say, which may feed into the same thing, is I just want to be liked, which for me feeds into this, because that wanting to be liked is wanting to be accepted. So I'll do that. And even as I say that, I'm thinking, why would any of us want to be half of who we are when the wholeness of who we are is what we're here to deliver on, right? That's what we're here to share with others. That's what we're here to explore and to be. So yeah, I don't want to be too much. It's not a phrase that I personally have a relationship with. I don't feel like that's ever been a thing for me. What about you, Evie? Has it come up for you personally?
Well, it might have, especially when I was younger. And I think it has to do with culture again, because being Greek, it's automatically, and living in the UK, so that we're talking about two very different cultures. So you like automatically want to play your tones lower. You want to make sure you don't like sound too loud, too vocal, too Greek. So it potentially was something that played up a bit when I was younger, but not anymore. I think that authenticity is way more important for me than anything else. And when you don't show up authentically, it sort of hurts you and hurts your relationships, and stops you from having relationships that you could potentially have, and you're not taking advantage of it, or in a good way, right? And but I do understand and like the way that you have mentioned that it's not just that particular phrase, is how it shows up in the way that we understand things. And like it might be that you have not said, oh, I don't want to be too much, but you are playing your role down, let's say, in your relationship with your spouse, because you don't want them to feel that you're showing them up, or you are playing it down with any type of relationship, not for any other reason, because as you said, I want to be liked, so I assume that the other person is not going to like me if I show up the way that I am. But yeah, coming back to what I said earlier, that is really hurting you and your relationships around. So it's best if we really ask again, is that true? Am I going to show as being too much? Am I assuming what other people want to see and not see in me? What is the story there? What will unfold?
Yeah. And also, what does it mean to be too much? Who gets to decide what too much even looks like? Am I too much because I am confident? Am I too much because, when I walk into a room, people notice me? Am I too much because what does it even mean to be too much? And for me, that reframing is we need to accept that there's nothing wrong with taking up space. We were put here to take up space. We're here to take up space, right? So, the fact that we get to choose how much of that space we take up is our choice, not that we should be dictated to and told, well, you're this person and therefore you can have this much room. And don't step outside of that. We have to be bold enough to say, actually, this is who I am. And a little bit of take me or leave me, because I'm not watering down my personality and who I am and what I have to say in order to fit in or to please someone else. That is absolutely not what I'm here to do. So I think that this feeling of being too much, and some people have actually been told you're just too much, you're too loud, you're too this. I've heard people who have said, other people have told me. So I would just say, well, is that your issue or is that their issue? Whose problem is that? Because if you're being authentic and your authenticity is very vocal, but somebody else doesn't like it or they feel it's too much, whose issue is it? So this, and that for me is a little bit of don't take on somebody else's issue.
100%. I completely agree with you, Yvonne. It is very often the case that we do sort of like we become like a mirror of somebody else's things, whatever, the way they think, the way they show up, the way they understand the world, and we just adjust to that. But why should we do something like this? And I think also that there is this idea that if you show up as being too much, you might be like maybe rude, or you might be taking up too much space, let's say in a meeting, in a room, in whatever. But as you said, it's not about like you trying to fit in. Is about you being authentically you. And if that is the case, you're going to be attracted by situations and people that call for your energy, for you being there, rather than you being somewhere that you can't really fit in, because you are who you are. So why should we even worry about it? I am a bit like into minds with this, you see. um, for people. So anyway, yeah, I know I'm so like I can't completely express myself here because of the delay, and I know, there are things that we want to share, and but like, should we move on to the next limiting phrase? What do you think, Yvonne? So at least there is a bit of a flow.
Yes, I agree. So, if anyone has, I know that there's been a couple of people kind of looking in. So, just to let you know, we are having some technical glitches, and we are just going to work our way through them. By that I mean we're not stopping, and hopefully that most of this recording will work. If by any chance we find that it hasn't, we will always redo it. That's not an issue. So we're going to power on through to the second phrase that we're going to look at, which is people will think I'm showing off. Now, this one I have heard many, many times. People will think I'm showing off. If I talk about my credentials, people will think I'm showing off. If I talk about my promotion, people will think I'm showing off. If I tell people that I have, a second home, people will think I'm showing. This comes up so much, and it's such an interesting one because it's like, well, hold on a moment. If in the work environment, if you've worked hard, or you've shown up and you've shown that you have the capabilities to get a promotion, and you get that promotion, what part of that is showing up if you or showing off if you then express joy about it? So we get really caught up in what, for me, this is about, again, what other people will think. What is potentially going on internally for us is that our judge is saying, you don't want to be sharing that with people because you're going to turn people off. They're going to just think that it's all about you, and really trying to downsize us from within. And that, again, is the same issue of what do? We then end up just shrinking. We then end up only showing or being parts of who we are. We then hold back on things that actually we feel really proud of, or that do bring us joy, but we better not share it because it may make somebody else feel really uncomfortable, and I don't want them to get the wrong impression of me. What do you say, Evie?
It is definitely that, one thing that I have heard quite a lot, and again, with high-powered women in positions that they are expected to lead and lead by example, still they feel sometimes that the overconfidence is not a good thing, because it's going to put them in a position of that they will have to act almost offensively, to be able to stay in that space. Or I hope I'm making sense. But anyway, the thing is that showing off, if you feel really that you are showing off, again, you can ask, am I really showing off, or am I sharing facts? Because there is showing off and there is sharing that, like, that you're doing a new degree, or that you are enjoying something, that is elevating your knowledge, is that showing off really, or is it a fact that you're doing something? Does it work as like a deterrent for people, or on the contrary, it helps others see how they can do similar things, or gives them permission in a way to vocalize their own shining? So these are things to consider, and this is for the people that don't,
Yeah.
do easily things for themselves, but they would do it for others. So if and ever you find yourself saying, I can't really share this because it will be like showing off, then think, am I doing it for me, or am I doing it for somebody else that might take that as their permission to do something similar, and share something that's going to be valuable for a third person, and then that person will do the same, and it becomes like a ripple effect. So different way of thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, Emmy, because I feel that it's so important to state that when we allow our light to shine, we are giving or helping others to see that it's what's possible, one, and also giving them to give themselves permission to shine. Because what's wrong with shining? What is wrong with being a light? What is wrong with creating and doing brilliant things in the world and being able to say, this is making a difference? Because the difference isn't that it's probably making is not purely for your benefit. It's probably for the benefit of many. And so we have to kind of get to that place where we understand being confident, being assertive, that these are not bad things. They are to be encouraged. And actually, if we're not showing up, if we're not being able to express the joy at the things that we're doing, the difference we're making, then we are not being visible. We are actually feeding into the role of invisibility. It's like I'm making a difference, I'm doing these things, but I don't want anyone to know or see it because it's going to be uncomfortable and they're going to see this, this kind of dialogue needs to be broken. I love, nothing pleases me more when I go onto LinkedIn and I'm scrolling through posts and somebody's talking about something that they've achieved or something that they've created that is making a difference in the world. How would you not want to celebrate that? Like, this is stuff to be celebrated. So again, we have to remember that when we show up being a light, we are also giving others permission to be a light and to shine. And the more that we do that, and the more that ripples out, just as you said, Evie, the better. you know Seriously, look at the world. We need more light.
Yes, we do. And also, I love what you said. It's about celebration. I mean, this is the exact opposite of celebration. If we think that, people will think I'm showing off, in a way, you're saying that you cannot celebrate anything in your life, and that's not right. You need to be able to celebrate. You need to give yourself that sense of joy with the things that you do. And like in positive intelligence, for example, we really invite every single person to celebrate even the smallest of steps. So why wouldn't you want to celebrate something that you are achieving, something that makes a difference, something that somebody will find valuable, um, and it will be important for that thing to be out there, to be seen, and for yourself to be seen. So yeah, I think celebrating is key here as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm really glad you mentioned that word celebrate, because most people don't celebrate their wins. And even if they do, it's for a fraction of a second. And then it's head down and what do I now need to do? I always find it so interesting to see how much time people will spend on something that has gone wrong, that didn't work. They'll spend time and so much poring over that. And when something goes right, it's like, okay, that was great. And then on to the next thing. Not actually standing into that celebration and really being with it and embodying it and enjoying it. And this is one of the things that I love in positive intelligence is we encourage celebration. We've spent way too long not not acknowledging and celebrating the wins that we have, in particular the small wins, because suddenly, for whatever reason, we have decided that they're not important. That's probably why people get so frustrated with their goal setting, because they can only believe that the celebration comes when the goal is achieved and not all the steps it takes to get there. So I think that also feeds into, it's not showing off, it's showing up. It's not showing off, it's showing up. And it's taking a moment to celebrate something that is going well for you. And, if somebody wants to take that away from you and they want to perceive it as showing off, that's their choice, that's their perception. But you don't have to fall in line with that, and then become that invisible person who just thinks it's safer and better not to share your wins.
100%. And as you said earlier, Yvonne, is we don't need to worry about other people's issues at this stage when they're reacting to what we're doing. At the end of the day, it is somebody somebody's reaction is their own thing. It's what they have control over. We don't. So let's do the things that we have control over. Let's, from the heart, 100% show up the way we want to show up. And the people that find it like I don't know, offensive or not aligned with what they want or how they deal with their life, then it's absolutely fine. They are going to find another way for themselves. But that has nothing to do with you showing up and sharing, because also sharing is so important for all of us. And it's not about comparing. Let's not compare, right? We're just sharing and celebrating and championing each other. That is what I think matters the most.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we will just pre-apologize if it's been really difficult to follow because of the tech glitch that we have. We just wanted to do it anyway, because this is how we roll. It's like sometimes you'll have the perfect day and sometimes you'll have the imperfect day, and it doesn't really matter. Show up anyway and do your thing. We will listen back, and if it really is like a bad recording, then we'll always have the opportunity to do this one again. But it's really been about that visibility and, us not being afraid to step into our power and not being afraid to celebrate ourselves and our wins and the difference that we make. I think if we're prepared to dismiss all of that, we have to then really question, well, what is the point? What is the point? We will celebrate others, but we won't celebrate ourselves. We will acknowledge other people's wins, but we don't want to acknowledge our own. Because if we do it, then that's a whole other thing. No, we all are here to bring our unique brilliance to the table. And when we deliver, in whatever way that is, then it's really important that we acknowledge it, regardless of who else does or does not. And that is the drive and the confidence that we have to go on and do other things too. And if we just keep on bypassing those moments of success or achievement, then we will never ever have a sense of feeling abundance, feeling like value, because we keep on downplaying it or dismissing it. And that's not the purpose. That is not the purpose of us being here. And that's my final word. Evie, I'm going to let you close out.
Thank you very much, Von. I don't think I can say anything better than the way that you said them, and I would love to close with how you finished. I would like to again apologize, but like with a light heart, because yes, we're here, and if it's been a bit rough, well, what can you do? We enjoy it no matter what. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for spending this time with us. If you see us on the replay, leave your comments. Let us know how you are dealing with this type of phrases. If there are other phrases that play in that visibility block that you seem to have patterns with, and then we can discuss them further. If also you have found that some of the things that we're discussing you don't agree with, let us know. Let us know what you believe, why you don't agree, and let's have these conversations. And if you want to find out more about the Permission to Thrive, there is always going to be a link under our videos, and also our QR code. Just come, join us, discuss things with us, see if we're a good fit for you, and have a lovely rest of the day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evie. Thank you. And we will see you next week.
Yes.